So, you've started your own business, you have a great idea, customers are queuing up, and you've got a great team around you that really believe in, and you've got all the finance in place. Or have you? Does the idea of spreadsheets and business plans make you glaze over? My name is Jamie, and at Conduit Finance we work with entrepreneurs and business leaders just like you. We help our clients grow and protect their businesses through a range of fundraising and restructuring services. Our approach is both creative and entrepreneurial, which helps us close deals. Welcome to the first of a series of interviews with some of the UK's best entrepreneurs. They'll share with you the highs, the lows, and most importantly, the lessons they have learnt. Hopefully you can relate to these stories and they will help you on your business journey. If Conduit Finance can help you achieve your goals, then please get in touch. Many of you will know Carol from her days as a TV presenter. What you may not know is that Carol set up her own business a few years ago. The business is called Diary Doll. Carol, what's the business all about?
It's a strange one. I started it because I had been a TV presenter for probably the best part of 20 plus years, and I knew it was coming to an end. I knew that television is not that favourable to women over a certain age, shall we say, and I just could see what was coming, and I thought I would rather do something else completely different. And I was on holiday in Portugal with my daughters and a good friend, Annabelle Croft, and we were all talking about the girls staying overnight at someone's house when their period was due. It was a sort of light bulb moment where I thought, oh, there's something here that I could work with. So we basically, I went ahead to create what we call Pretty Clever Pants with a secret waterproof panel for life's little leaks. Okay. That sounded a bit kind of off the cuff, didn't it?
So when you're starting your business and you had different types of finance options, you had product, R&D, things to fund. Did you look at finance? Did you think about finance, or how did you fund it?
Not a clue. I mean, in the early days, it was great because we just put in some money each. But I didn't know what R&D was. I didn't know what MOQs were, minimum order quantities. And that's, we naively sent a drawing of what we thought they should look like and wired some money to this factory in China. I mean, it's like,
as you do, yeah.
It wasn't completely blind because we had this recommendation. However, the stock turned up and it did work. It actually worked really well, and I was like, wow. But of course, months down the line, we started to get a few returns with stitching errors and fraying waistbands, and that's when you think, uh-oh.
Yeah. And you're in a test phase at that point. You're creating product, learning about supply chain, manufacturing, sales, logistics, all that sort of stuff at the same time in a test phase. Is that right?
Well, probably looking back, it was a test phase. We didn't really think about it that way.
Global launch straight off the bat.
Well, we just set up a website, did all the kind of necessary payments terms from customers, and off we went. Began the long, slow, arduous task of breaking down doors, hard phone calls.
And how do you change the message? So going from something which you knew was of value to someone, it had multiple benefits. It wasn't expensive. It was unique in a lot of ways. How did you change the messaging from when you started to where you are today?
Well, what was really interesting was, you're absolutely right, as far as finance is concerned, you get to a certain point, the factory in China did a great job to start us off, but when we realised with the stitching errors, we came back to manufacturing in the UK, thinking, well, we haven't got the time difference, we haven't got the language barrier, we can sit around a table with someone and say, that doesn't work, but this does. And they made a far superior product, undoubtedly. However, at that stage, I'd been talking to lots of retailers, and I managed to get an in with John Lewis, which was very exciting.
That's huge.
I'd never spoken to that level of buyer before. It was all through networking. I've learned that you have to go out there and press the flesh. You have to talk to as many people as possible. And it did get in with John Lewis, but then a week after the first John Lewis order was due in, the British manufacturer went bust. And that was a real stop and dead in your tracks moment where I realised, oh my God, I actually don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm way out of my depths. I've got this great opportunity, I can't fulfil it, I look like an idiot, and I'm sorry that they went bust, but I had to somehow pull it back. Yeah. So drove to the factory in Manchester with my husband, cleared out all the stock, drove back, got white gloves on, repacked it all out of our e-com stock, took the labels off and the swing tickets and the barcodes, and put back on hangers instead of out of bags. And it was a real Heath Robinson. If John Lewis had seen what we were doing, they'd be like, who are these amateurs? But they didn't, and they believed in us, and we got over that hurdle. But at that point, I'm now thinking, great, this is a 3-part order from John Lewis, and now I have the first part in, I have no manufacturer to fulfill the second and third part. What do I do now? So I joined something called Entrepreneurial Spark, which is a business accelerator. Incredible opportunity with being around like-minded people who were all doing different kinds of businesses. It's a free service. And through that, I understood much more about the business side of the business. I felt I was learning it back to front. This is how you plan your stock ahead. This is how you plan your financing. Do you want investment? All these kind of things, and looking at angel investors or bank loans or whatever, and actually grow up a bit.
Sure.
That said, we did not take investors on. I was quite keen to at one point, however, and one of them went very far with us. They did a whole, like a mail shot to all our existing customers to ask what they really thought of pricing, what they thought of the actual product itself. And the stuff that came back was quite sobering. Some of it I thought, I don't think that's, because you're so close to it.
Defensive
it hurts.
A little bit, or?
Yeah, because it hurts and you think.
You own it, yeah.
Yeah, but you have to listen to that because that's really important. And what they said to us was, we think there's something definitely there. We would be interested in investing, but not as you're standing at the moment, because we think you're missing a huge market. You've started with the menstrual market for young girls, but the much bigger market is women of 40 plus who have pelvic floor weakness issues, who go join a gym and then realise that they hadn't done their exercises post-baby. And actually this is a big problem, and ageing population. And so they said, go away. See if you can make some serious inroads in that market and come back and the door's still open.
Good feedback. Did you go back?
Great feedback. I did go back. I did go back. But in the sort of 2 years it took to turn that ship around, to not lose the younger market, but also encompass the older market. But in the meantime, we split as a partnership. Annabelle was really busy with her life as a commentator around the circuit around the world. And so I bought her out. And so I was able to concentrate then on keeping the business up here in Scotland and really focusing on how to take it forward. And in the interim, we've now attracted the attention of a much bigger player, which is what I really wanted. The more I looked at it, the more I thought, this needs so much money that a bank loan or an investor, I need a team of investors because it's a global product, not just a UK one.
Sure. And on that journey, you had yourself and Annabelle up to a point, advisors, mentors, finance directors, who else was around you at that point in the process?
Oh, the shame. Nobody else was around us actually, apart from Entrepreneurial Spark, which in itself was a huge help. The reality is we had access to all these people, but nobody was on the payroll, nobody was actually in the business, if you like. So it was about meeting guys like you, Jamie, or meeting other people in various fields of marketing and development, supply chains, all that kind of thing. We decided we'd just outsource all of that rather than try and do everything. You just can't do everything yourself. So find someone who can do it and outsource it. I used to go into meetings with my husband, sometimes as buyers, and he'd say, but we don't know the answer to this. What if they ask us this? And I say, well, what if they do? It's okay. Just say, I don't know the answer to that. I'll find out and come back to you. But you can't do that. This is a women's world. Generally, you're talking to other women, and they quite like that vulnerability. They don't expect you to know everything because clearly I don't.
I think that's liberating for them too, because you're being honest, so things can move faster. You're not locked up in this, I know everything kind of.
Yeah.
I come across that with some business owners where they think they have to know everything about their business, but it holds them back.
Yes.
And then they're also emotionally engaged in their business, which also holds them back. So it's really interesting. So moving the business forward the next few years, what do you see happening over the next maybe 5 or 10 years?
Well, the bigger player that we've attracted is a TV shopping channel. Which wasn't what I was thinking initially, but they sell in 91 countries across other TV shopping channels, and there's a whole world out there where they trade products and goods to suit other markets in different countries. So they're very relaxed about it, and I'm really pleased that they are, because it's going to take a little bit of uphill climb to get it to where we want to get it. But I'm told that if it flies immediately, it generally dies quite quickly too. So slow and steady is the way to go.
Good. And it's such a massive market too, global market, different parts of that market for men and women and children. What's your view on how you attack those different segments?
Well, what I've found is really interesting is the American market are very open about discussing that kind of thing. The Japanese market are very much, they've got a massive ageing population. If you go to the United Arab Emirates, you'd have to change the packaging completely so there's no female body, and in some areas no female face on it. Right. So it's probably going to have to be a drawing. And that's really interesting to talk to these different markets and understand how they sell something. But the beauty of being with a company like this is they have experience in these markets and they have people on the ground in these countries who already know that.
Okay. Is that a benefit of a joint venture or a working relationship or a channel partnership? How does that work?
A license more than anything, yes. I will stay with the brand for the coming sort of 3 years and eventually phase out more as they produce different shapes, move into the men's market, and understand that we've survived 5 years. We've only ever had one shape, but it's taken so long to shout this loudly. There's no point in bringing out another 6 shapes if we haven't got the money to back it up, the support to back it up, and the know-how to target the right market.
So lots of lessons learned so far, lots more to come. Yes. What's your top 1 or 2 lessons you think you've learned on the journey so far?
The very first lesson I would say is understand, first of all, is this a product that really people need? Mm-hmm. Step back from it, stop listening to your family and friends, because they'll only tell you, they'll only love you and they care about you and they just want you to do well, and you'll be fine. Ask total strangers, do your market research, and if you don't like what you hear, they might be saving you an absolute fortune, so listen to them. I would say be very careful about who you put around you, and choose the right people. Outsource as much as possible if you aren't able to do it yourself. For a lot of people, it's your own personal lifestyle. Do you want something that's going to consume your whole world? And that's fine if you do. I don't. As I say, I started naively. I've learned so much now, but I know physically I can't and emotionally can't give it any more than I've given it. And it's time to pass it on to somebody who can do it. And just pay me per pair. That'd be lovely. Thank you very much.
Sounds nice. So if somebody's starting their business, somebody watching the interviews thinking about starting their own business, they're maybe in university or in school, whatever, or in a job, and they want to leave, is there one thing you think you'd convey to them, one piece of advice or one nugget?
Absolutely do it, because life is too short. Just get on with it. Yeah, there's a lot of people I think who spend far too much time researching and too much time, and we'll think about that and then we'll tweak this and then we'll tweak that. Yes, do all of that, but at a given point, get on with it, because you can overthink it and you will still make a million mistakes. Of course you will, because you've not actually done it until you've physically had these sales coming in and understand how it works and understand who's buying what. And initially we placed an order. It was fascinating because we put an order in for 7,000 pairs, which was the minimum. We had only 2 colours and 3 sizes. Well, we called them small, medium and large. That was our first mistake. We got lots of backlash on social media from mothers saying, my daughter's not large. Yeah. So you have to front it up and immediately get back on social media and say, you're absolutely right, we're learning as we go. I'm so sorry, we've changed it on the website, can't change it in the packaging, just pull the tag off before you give it to her and on the next batch we'll change it. So we changed it to size 1, 2 and 3. If I look back now in the early stages, I think we had a lot of advice at the start to bring investors on board. And when you don't really know what you're doing, you think, well, that'd be great because they know what they're doing, I don't know what I'm doing. But the more that time went on, the more I realised that actually to bring an investor on board at this stage, they were going to have to take so much equity out of the business to make it worth their while that I was just going to end up working for them. And that's not why I started it. It amazed me, the longer we held out, the more it seemed to be going okay. It's scary, I had a lot of sleepless nights, but we made it through. When we started right back at the beginning, we asked an IP lawyer about protecting the design. He was honest, he said, I don't think you'll get it. I really don't think you'll get it because there is something else similar out there in the world. But actually what we got it for was the elements of the 3 parts of the design. So it was a triple layer. It was wider in the gusset to hide a sanitary pad. And the fact that the waterproofing wrapped around the leg elastic. I mean, small things, but that's combination of the 3. We actually got a UK patent, which none of us could believe. That was really pricey at the start. It was a £10,000 hit that I was not expecting. And you go, phew. And
that was upfront payment or payment on success? Or
pretty much upfront.
So it was cash out?
It was cash out the business really early on, and we were both thinking, are we mad? Probably won't go anywhere. We'll probably get ripped off anyway. Someone will copy it. That's a good thing probably if it's a big player because it will get the idea of it out more in the mainstream market. However, I'm really glad we did it because that actually was what attracted the bigger player. We couldn't afford a global patent, unfortunately. That was going to be mega bucks. However, they can now apply for a global patent by changing certain elements of the next design, and therefore it's all worked out well in the end. But if you've got something really unique and there's anything in there to protect, go for it.
But that's difficult to listen to an advisor, not to listen to an advisor. Somebody who is an IP specialist is telling you won't get it. So what was it that made you think, well, I'm not sure about that, let's test it for ourselves?
I think there was a little nagging voice in the back of my mind going, imagine if, just, pipe dream stuff, this becomes like another Spanx or a sports bra. 10 years ago, nobody had a sports bra. And it's a similar story, two women getting together, funny idea. Well, I was always told that the definition of an overnight success is 8 years. And I hate it when I read things in the press of people going, I started it so, and then I just did this, and then I sold that, and then I bought that, and then I sold it for millions. I'm sorry, that does not happen. Yeah. And I don't believe any of that for a minute, because somewhere along that line, you were sweating, you were really panicking, and you thought you were going to lose it all, and you didn't sleep for weeks. Because it's not true otherwise. If you didn't really feel it in there, then I don't think it's true. So 8 years is probably about the time that we are starting to come good now. So we're 5, nearly 6 years in. Great. By the time this gets, you're going to look back at this a couple of years ago, it didn't happen. But I'm thinking we're probably on course.
Almost there.
For the overnight success. The other piece of advice I'd say just before we move on is that before you play all your money into it, have a look at what you're doing, because actually it can be a real drain on your money, and stop when it becomes too much. Set yourself a goal that you can afford to lose, and don't go beyond that, because once you sneak beyond that, it's a slippery slope.
It keeps creeping. So the business gamble, kind of invest what you want to lose effectively.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Well, Carl, that was great. Thanks for your time. Lots of detail, lots of lessons learned. Thanks very much.
Thank you.